Okay.
No. I
All right,
was-
folks, it's 6 o'clock.
I got,
I'd like to call to order the Tuesday, January 6, 2026 meeting of the Mound Planning Commission. Roll call, please. Someone.
Council Liaison, Planning Commission Member Kathy McEnany.
Aye.
Planning Commission Member Nick Rosner.
Here.
Vice Chair Jason Baker.
Here.
Planning Commission Member Drew Heel.
Here.
Planning Commission Member Kristen Young.
Here.
Planning Commission Chair David Good.
Present. Wow. Let's look next on our agenda. We have nomination and election of chair and vice chair for 2026. I would like to open the floor for nominations for the position of chair.
So I will make a motion to nominate Mr. Good as chair for the Planning Commission 2026.
I'll go ahead and second that.
A motion is second. Any other nominations? Hearing none, I call the nominations closed for chair. I'd like to open the nominations for the position of vice chair, and in doing so, I'd like to nominate Jason Baker.
I second that.
Further nominations? Hearing none, I declare the nominations closed. You have in front of you two documents. These are per our work rules. You need to put a name of a nominee for chair and put an X by that name, and then down below put your initials. And if you'll hand them over this way, I'll make sure the secretary gets them, and she will give us a count. Thank you.
There you go.
And it's not the secretary, it's our esteemed planning consultant, director.
We have unanimous vote for David Good to serve as chair, and a unanimous vote for Jason Baker to serve as vice chair for 2026.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, and thank you for your service.
And thanks for doing such an awesome job.
Thank you. On behalf of Jason and myself, thank you for your support. Moving on, we have review and approval of the agenda. We don't have any amendments. Chair would entertain a motion to approve the agenda as distributed unless you have any changes or concerns.
Motion to approve as distributed.
Second.
Motion is second. Discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Moving on, we have two sets of minutes for your review. We're going to take them separately. The first is a special rescheduled meeting minutes of November 18, 2025. Are there any changes, concerns? You had them in your packet. Hearing none, Chair would entertain a motion for approval of those November 18, 2025 minutes as distributed.
Make a motion to approve the November 18th, 2025 minutes as distributed.
Second.
We have motion
Second.
second discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Next, we have minutes of the regular meeting of the Planning Commission on December 2, 2025. Any changes to those minutes? Hearing none, the chair would entertain a motion to approve the minutes as distributed.
Motion to approve as distributed.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Moving on, Board of Adjustment and Appeals, Planning Case 25-12. Ms. Rita.
All right.
Technical issues?
Grace?
The TV is beautiful, but my computer and the TV are not jiving, so, sorry. We're gonna have to work through the planning packet that you guys have in front of you, and that's probably our best course of action. So, we did do the PowerPoint that I have that I'm gonna talk about, in the order of the packet, so hopefully we'll match together, and my thing's all jammed up from everything we've been trying to do. Just give me a second. So, give me 1 second to get it functioning again as we've been playing technology. It'll probably be something really simple when we finally figure it out. Like, right, one button that if we just pushed would work perfectly. All right, so thank you. I am Rita Trapp, planning consultant for the city. The case before you is a project that involves 4 different actions, and we'll talk about all of those this evening. For everybody in the audience, I just wanted to do a little recap. This item was on the December 2nd, 2025 Planning Commission meeting. So at that time, we had a full presentation about the project and its elements. We held a public hearing for the comprehensive plan and the major subdivision preliminary plat. The commission discussed the proposal and tabled it with having a request for additional information. So I will walk through a little bit about the project tonight just to make sure everybody's somewhat aware of what it is, but I will focus more on the areas that the Planning Commission wanted additional information. Relative to any additional public comment, it's at the discretion of the Planning Commission and the chair whether or not you have additional public comments. And I know the applicant representatives are here this evening, and again, that's up to you if you want to have additional comments from them or clarifications from them. So with that, I'm going to do a little bit of an overview just to set the stage. The project is located on Bartlett Boulevard with Lakeshore on Halsted Bay. The project involves a combination of development in Minnetrista and in Mound. So on the Mound side, there'll be a 9-unit condominium building, a 4-unit townhouse building, and a single-family lot with an amenity building right on the lakeshore. The Minnetrista part will have 45 units that are across 3 different condominium buildings and then 15 single-family homes. At this point, the applicant has received preliminary approval for plat and land use approvals with Minnetrista, so they are ahead of us in this process. We are now at that same stage of considering whether or not this project is appropriate for Mound, and if it is, what kinds of conditions you would like to, or the city council would like to place on it. So in your packet, hopefully, or you had a chance to look, we did have an overview graphic that gave a little bit of an orientation. It was beautiful. Just to kind of verbally do that, near Bartlett Boulevard or County Road 110 will be the 9-unit condominium building. Behind that, as you go down the slope, would be a 4-unit townhouse building. And then against the lakeshore, there's a single-family home that actually will be developed separately from the project. It has its own property owner. And we don't have specific plans for that. We have kind of a general layout of what they're thinking, and then an amenity building. So the request, again, just to summarize it, is a comprehensive plan amendment, and that's just to kind of re-guide and change the guidance for this property. This part of this property was guided previously for a project similar but not exactly the same as this project, and so we need to make the adjustments to the comprehensive plan so they match. So where the condominium building is, which is a higher density project, we show medium density residential. Where the townhouses and the single family are, we show low density residential. So this property development area has both. We're just trying to reconfigure it to match what is being proposed for the project. There is also a rezoning application, and that would rezone from R1 to R3 shoreline plan unit development. With that, I do want to note that a portion of this project has historically been R3 shoreline plan unit development. So we are continuing or expanding it to meet the entire project area. A major subdivision preliminary plat, so this is what creates the actual lots. There are multiple lots involved here today. There will be 8 lots. Most of those will be one for the condominium building, one individual each for the townhouse, one for the single family, one for the amenity building, and then kind of one overall that goes around those units. So those are our 8 different lots. The primary element we will be discussing today is related to the conditional use permit. The CUP is the process we use for any type of shoreland development such as this. It is also required for the townhouses and multifamily. So a conditional use permit just means that staff and the City Council, Planning Commission want extra time and effort to review a particular project. It just gives us the opportunity to evaluate the project and provide additional conditions given a location of a project within the community. So the supplemental information that we received, I believe we tried to do, as I said, my presentation in order of the planning report. So first I'm going to talk about building height. There was a concern raised about building height by the Planning Commission at its last meeting. The applicant has made revisions to try and reduce the height. In all of the city of Mound, the maximum height is 3 stories or 35 feet. The applicant is proposing a front facade height of about 40 feet, just over 40 feet. I didn't provide exact measurements just because it's always a little bit difficult to get exact measurements given the fact that we look at the average grade of the front and the back, and that's not really what we need to finalize today. What we need to finalize is just the idea that this building can be taller than what the city allows. So generally, they've decreased the height by about 3 feet to just over 40 feet. The rear facade is decreased about 4 feet to just about 46 feet. I do want to note on the back, one thing that's important if you look at those elevations is to remember that this building will sit behind the townhouse. As you're in the lake, it'll be the single family homes, then the townhouse, then the condominium building. So part of the view of it will be disrupted by the trees in the townhouse building itself. From the rear, it looks like a 4-story building. From the front, it primarily looks like a 3-story building. The applicant did provide some visual, hopefully you had a chance to look at it, that kind of provided what it will look like from the road. There is a setback from the road, and again, there's also what I'll call a driveway that is in front of the condo building between Bartlett Boulevard and the condo building that connects to the condo buildings in Minnetrista. So that is also separating the building from the actual road. There are trees and newly planted trees. The trees in the diagrams primarily, if they're there, are the ones that are staying, and the kind of lighter ones are ones that are going to be planted. But as we had noted, there's some things that don't quite jive with our understanding of the landscape plan, but that's kind of in one area. But you can kind of see from their visuals what they intend or think that the building will look like from Bartlett Boulevard. You also asked for clarification about Minnetrista and other buildings in Mound. So from our review of the city council packet, in Minnetrista, the building heights there, they hold to a maximum of 3 stories or 45 feet in height, and they didn't have any concerns about the height, and so how the buildings as proposed for them in Minnetrista meet the requirements. And so they also don't include the basement level garages. That's how they handle building height in Mound. We can handle it 2 ways with this project. One is that we can just look at the Bartlett Boulevard view. We also have a provision if it's a normal, typical shoreland lot, we would take the average grade of the front and the back and then look at those building heights. And so there's kind of 2 ways you can do building measurement. I think from a visual perspective, we all understand about 40 feet and 3 stories is what it will look like in the front, and 4 stories, 46 feet in the back. Other Mound projects, Tessa was approved up to 48 feet, just for perspective, and Harrison Bay Senior Living was approved to 39.5 feet. So I know it's sometimes helpful to just have an idea of what buildings are. And so those are the heights of those buildings for comparison purposes. Obviously, those buildings are bigger. This is a 9-unit condominium building. Those buildings have a lot more units in them, so just remember that as you think about the height and the bulk of those buildings. This building is different in size in the fact of the number of units that are contained in the building. So, building height, I'm going to move on to impervious surface. Impervious surface, the reason it came back to you is a little bit about clarification that was asked from the Planning Commission. One request was that the updated calculations did not include Lot 3. So for the overall calculation, they did remove Lot 3. The proposed now would be 35.5% of impervious for the entire project versus 34%. Hopefully, if you understand the kind of the project, there's a fair amount of open space in Lot 3, so that was bringing their overall percentage down. But it's still, our maximum is about 35%, so we're still kind of in the range of what we're seeking. When you actually get to the tiering element, the tiering is a little bit different. They still included Lot 3, so I can't really tell you what the impervious surface is in Tier 1 because Lot 3 is still included in that. But again, kind of proposed overall, it's 29.5%. I should note, and if unfortunately you can't see the diagram, the tierings don't actually match the lot dimensions. So for example, Tier 1, Lot 3 extends in both Tier 1 and Tier 2. So how the open space of Lot 3 affects the tiers is something I can't really talk about. But generally, they're aiming for about 30 to 35% with impervious. There was a lot of discussion about the amenity building itself. It was reconfigured, particularly the deck patio area was reconfigured to try and move the structure out of the ordinary high water level and the kind of setback from it. So they were reduced in area below that. It's more of a pervious paver. There is now a pervious paver trail or connection between those areas and the proposed dock. Right now, they're at 50% impervious with the pervious, the pervious pavers, they equated at a 50% impervious rate. So that's a lot about the amenity building itself. Relative to traffic and use, there weren't any changes about traffic or the use of the building. The applicant did note, as I said in the packet, that they still expect many HOA members to walk down to the building. They don't think it's particularly large in size. And there would be some storage for folks for certain kinds of things that they would be able to leave down in that building. But I don't have a lot else to talk about relative to that. That would be something if you had, if you needed more information or had more conversation, to have it directly with the applicant. Moving on, open space. Shoreland PUD requires 50% open space. They are proposing 61.2% open space. The only thing that staff is concerned about is the technical reading of the code and the way the shoreline management rules read. The 61.2% includes Lot 3, and so that helps get you over 50%. But the way that the code reads is that if Lot 3 is contributing it, then the homeowner would need to be potentially part of the homeowners association, and they would need to preserve their yard area in perpetuity and make sure that they don't ever build into that yard area. Typically, when I see developments, a single-family home is not included in the open space unless it's like a townhouse structure where you only own the structure and the association owns the rest of your yard. That's not what's being proposed, so my recommendation is that Lot 3 shouldn't be included in the open space because I think that's a challenge. That lot probably is operating separately than the townhomes, but that's a discussion with the applicant that we need to have, and I'm not particularly concerned. I'm just flagging it as something we need to figure out and make sure that if the development were to be approved, it's clear for staff and for the applicant and for the property owner of Lot 3 how that contributes or doesn't contribute to certain things and what are their limits to what they can do with their yard. That's our biggest concern, is that there isn't confusion moving forward about what you can do in that property and that we're limiting it in some way that folks didn't understand. So that's kind of a technical element, but certainly if you have thoughts on how it should be handled, certainly worth a conversation and clarification. Similarly, or related to open space, there's something called the shore impact zone, and that's the first 25 feet from the ordinary high water level. The way the shoreline regulations read, is that 70% of that area should be preserved in its natural or existing state. That's the term it's used. From staff, in this recent set of plans that we received in preparation for this meeting, on the landscape plan and only on the landscape plan, there's a beach and a retaining wall shown. And that to staff doesn't comply with the idea of something being in its natural or existing state. So our recommendation is that consideration should be given to removal, or we need more clarification from the applicant about how those things are providing something that we're not understanding. This is the first time that we've seen a beach or the retaining walls. And it could be that as plans have developed, there's a reason for it, but we haven't had that conversation. So that's something that we wanted to flag. Landscaping wise, there's some discrepancy on a technical level that we just need to fix about how well trees will survive. Similarly to what I mentioned with the beach and the retaining wall, there's a new swale that's shown next to the amenity building that again showed up in the landscaping plan. Our landscape architect spoke with the city engineer and talked about it, and there's clarification that needs to happen on that. So that's a technical element that needs to be resolved. And we have conditions about that resolution. But we also want to see how we can preserve an oak tree that's on the corner of the swale. So landscaping wise, most of those are technical recommendations, and some of those need to be done in coordination with the city engineer. But those are new elements that hadn't been in previous plans. So we have some things that need to be resolved. I'm just taking a pause for a second because that was a lot of talking. Okay, traffic-wise, County Road 110 is a county road. It is an A minor arterial, so in terms of functional classification, it's near the top in terms of how it's supposed to function within our community. It's really designed for moving traffic. It's not meant for local access. It's meant to move people from one community to the next community. So with that, that's really where, I said at the last meeting that is really designed to accommodate development, and the kind of additional traffic this would generate is not something that should overwhelm the road. That being said, I understand on a local level, it will change the dynamics. Cars will be added, there will be challenges, and things will have to get adjusted with ways that people move through this. Because if you go from no development to housing, there is going to be a change and there will be an increase in traffic. But that is what a minor arterial is meant to do, is to take traffic from local roads and put it on there and move it from community to community. So Hennepin County and City of Mound have reviewed it. Generally, as I get to the comments, both Hennepin County and City of Mound engineers have generally signed off on this project. They've felt like the applicant has mostly done their technical improvements that they want. And they've asked, and the applicant has responded with additional turn lanes to improve traffic flow. One other element I know from other projects, and one reason I think it's good, is that there is the connection between the Mound and Minnetrista side, so that as folks from the townhouse and the condo, if it is challenging to get out and go a certain direction, they have another way to get through. They could go to the Minnetrista exit on Halsted and get onto County Road 110, and we know from other projects that people change their patterns based on how they know traffic flows in the area. Again, I'm not saying it won't be a change. I'm not saying it may be challenging at times. I'm just saying the reality is this is what this road is designed to do. And this is low and medium density development. So snow removal, the applicant has stated that the majority of the development has ample locations for snow storage, and generally we would agree. My only concern is that you shouldn't be putting it in parking areas because that's what they're there for. So it is sometimes helpful for staff to understand so they can communicate later where snow storage is supposed to go, and also to make sure the homeowners association knows that they're responsible for removing it if we get so much snowfall in a year that it has to be removed from the site, and that's a cost that they may have. We're just trying to prevent things in the future from there being a problem. So generally, snow storage is typically something that we just have to make sure that people are aware of as an issue to address. Site lighting, I'm gonna skip, I can do signage. I didn't put it in my presentation. Signage, they're proposing signage, they're gonna meet the code, they didn't ask for any variations. So when signage comes in, we will review it against what the code requirements are. Site lighting, they are proposing lighting. I do want to note some of them are street lighting versus lights on the exterior of a building or on driveways. Relative to things that are on buildings or on driveways, the code limits any kind of light to not be brighter than 0.4 foot candles, which is a unit of measurement for lighting, at the property line. Generally, there's compliance with this project. The only issue is along the western lot line of the amenity building, and so there needs to be some adjustments to the placement of those lights to make sure that they aren't extending onto the residential property that's outside of this development right next door. There are some, if you really looked at the lighting plan, there are some numbers that are higher. Generally, those are next to streets where we would expect them to be higher. So we aren't flagging any of the lights that are really meant for street purposes. We're really flagging things like in the amenity building parking lot, there's a light that probably either needs to be moved or adjusted so that it doesn't have light that spills over to the next property. And then relative to trail surfacing, the applicant is now proposing to use permeable pavers instead of wood chips. And so there are stairs and trails that connect the amenity building to the townhouse building to the 9-unit condominium building. I'm not going to spend a lot of time, but I do want to note a little bit about review comments. So one of the actions staff took after the last planning commission meeting was to share the latest set of plans that we had with all of our agency partners. And then we sent an email that asked them to review their list of comments that they had previously for us against the latest set of plans and let us know if there was changes to their comments, if they had any new concerns. And so what we tried to summarize in the report was the information we got subsequent to that email. In general, my analysis or summary would be generally people feel like the applicant is responding to their technical comments, making changes to address those concerns, and that we continue to move in a way where the concerns that technical reviewers have are being addressed. There is a change with Minnehaha Creek Watershed District. The applicant actually has applied, which is different than when we were at the meeting. And a few things just to note. Right now, well, the latest information we have is that the application has been deemed incomplete. I wouldn't note that except for I think the reasons they're deeming it incomplete address some of the comments that we had received, so I just wanted to highlight that. One is that Minnehaha Creek will be requiring them to delineate the off-site drainage area that discharges into the project site. And I know there have been concerns from adjacent residents and neighbors that they weren't accounting for that adequately. So Minnehaha Creek is asking them to do that and adjust their model so that they can evaluate how that off-site drainage that comes into this project site is going to be handled. There's also a comment about vertical separation, and they need to make sure that there's a disconnect between the buildings and the 100-year flood and the buildings. So again, Minnehaha Creek is just at the beginning of their process, and as you are aware, we generally go first, they come after, but they are starting to work through those elements with the applicant. The DNR area hydrologist felt that that their comments had been addressed. The Hennepin County, they didn't really have any additional comments, their conditions. It sounded like we've started to move forward on addressing their comments. The fire department did meet with the applicant and they asked them for changes, and the applicant has been working on those changes, did make those changes. And then Public Works will just get involved to make sure that the systems make sense between the two cities. The engineer who had the most comments said generally his comments have been addressed. He had a few from the recent set of plans. There was like 3, and then the new swale E needs to be more investigated, more information, because that was in the latest set of plans that we had received. So I mentioned the comments just to show the fact that we're moving on the technical part of this. The technicians can provide things that make sense and meet our requirements. I think you still had a lot of questions that were more on the planning side, more of the aesthetic side, and how did this fit with this community? And those are questions that you all can provide input on whether or not the project meets the intent of the code. I've provided all of the technical information I can, but you still have kind of those questions. Because it is a PUD, there's an opportunity for you to shape and how this project comes together. We're asking tonight that you discuss the request. Take one of the actions you kind of know, table it, recommend approval, recommend denial. I guess generally staff feels like from a technical perspective, the applicant is addressing our comments and moving. There still may be reasons that you feel it doesn't fit what the code and the comprehensive plan intent is, and that's fine. From staff's perspective, We're not sure what additional information answers those questions, so it may be time for you to kind of talk about it and make a recommendation one way or the other, because there's not a lot of new, I don't know what new technical information may solve, but maybe there is, and that's what tonight is about, for you to assess and say, do I have all the information or not? Can I make a recommendation? But from Sarah, my perspective, and Mia's, they're moving forward, and we're maybe at a point where we need to see if we can figure out where we feel on this and have the city council also have an opportunity to think about the project. So, with that, sorry again about the technology, because I had, the slides would have been beautiful. And I'm excited about the new TV. I just wish it would have worked. But it happens.
Work this afternoon.
Yeah, it had worked. It just, I wasn't here. We didn't test. So we'll find out what it is. Hopefully, my verbal descriptions were enough. I apologize. I know the graphics are great, but I can answer questions that you may have or things that I missed talking about.
Thank you. Questions or comments for Rita?
All right, I have a couple questions, more just for my knowledge. What is the swale? Like, is that just used to hold water?
That would be a technical question you should ask their engineer.
Oh, okay.
Generally, it's a drainage element,
Okay.
and I don't want to purport to.
Is that like a detention pond?
I usually, this is what I feel, but again, we should ask the engineer. Generally, I think of a swale as a thing that collects water and moves it, and then it has an outlet of some sort. And I know our landscape architect expressed concern about what was coming into the swale and what was leaving the swale. And the city engineer looked at it and felt that also there was additional information that would be helpful. But that should be the
Okay.
extent of what I say on a technical level about swales.
All right, the second one is around the MCWD.
Yeah,
They're asking to delineate the off-site drainage that discharges into the project site and incorporate that into stormwater models. So is that, they have to know how much water's coming in and then where that's going within?
so my understanding, and again, engineering technical questions, they can clarify if I'm inaccurate, but my understanding has been, there is a certain amount of acreage that's north of Bartlett Boulevard that is coming through this site today, as we are today, and MCWD is going to be asking them to identify what that is, what's coming in, and how it's getting handled, because the drainage has been coming through the site, and it's gonna continue to come through the site. So again,
Okay.
Well, it must eventually go to the lake, right?
so again, that would be a great engineer question for them to answer. That's my
Okay.
understanding.
Well, I got a question then for the city one then. So if I'm looking at the map right then,
The map,
the layout,
yes,
it looks like there is a left turn going west
oh boy.
into the first lot and a left turn going west into the second driveway. But both of them going east don't have turn lanes. Was that intentionally done for some reason?
You mean right turn lanes?
There's a left turn lane if you're going from east to west, out of
Right,
Mound,
yep,
into the first driveway.
yes,
And there's also a left turn lane into the second driveway.
yes.
But if you're going from east to west,
From west to east?
from west to east.
Just to
From
check.
Minnetrista, yep.
From coming in from Minnetrista
Yes.
and you're making a right turn, why isn't there a turn
There's
lane
no
there?
turn lanes at all for either of those.
All right, I don't have that detail of a plan in front of me. I
Well,
have
it's
it.
the one you gave us.
Yeah, but on my
Oh.
PowerPoint, we take
Okay.
snippets of things. But assuming that's correct, and we can verify and make sure that's correct. Assuming that's correct, I would guess, again, not traffic engineer, done these, is the concern is that as a left turn, you would be waiting for traffic to have to come by you so you can cross. So it's more important to have stacking for the left turners than it is for the right turners who can come to the intersection and most of the time make a free right turn without having to worry about other traffic. Not a
Okay.
traffic engineer, but that would be my, and those are information that we can verify for other people. I'm just doing my best with the knowledge I have from planning.
Okay. And maybe that's right. It seemed logical you'd have like one turn lane for right and one turn lane for left.
It probably,
room.
but the question is, do you have enough right-of-way for all of that to happen? So if you didn't have enough right-of-way.
No, I mean, instead of two left turn lanes, one left turn and one right turn, given so if you're coming from the Minnetrista west to east, you take the entrance that's got the right turn lane versus no
Oh.
right turn lane.
Oh, you're saying like one of them had a left turn and one would have a right turn and one would have. I think though that Halsted is, I think also there's a topography issue if I remember correctly. And so my guess, right, isn't there a topography coming out of Mound going west that you would want to make sure sightlines are good enough?
Yeah, I guess there is a little bit.
And so you'd be more concerned of making sure those left turners are stacked and safe than the right turners coming in.
Okay.
Again, great questions that we can verify my responses.
I just know there's a lot of concerns about the traffic, so.
There is a lot of concerns, yes. But there's also the reality of anybody coming out of the development has multiple ways, and as I said, if it becomes, for them at least, people coming out, if it becomes too difficult, they have two different choices that they can, based on what they know of traffic patterns. You know, it might be over time they realize that it's better to come out on Halsted than to try and come out, which means that they would be more safely moving also, which would help Bartlett Boulevard.
Yeah, I was just thinking that if you're coming out and you're turning left, either driveway now has a turn lane to your east, so you're gonna have to look around a turn lane
Yeah,
if you're turning west versus, I'm not a traffic engineer though.
that's me either.
Okay.
Good questions though. And we can verify my responses. Those are my best estimates on the whys.
And then was Minnehaha Creek Watershed District still okay that the deck goes into the setback? Or is that a city decision?
That's a city decision with commentary from the DNR.
Oh, okay.
Further questions for Rita? Further discussion amongst the commission? Okay, hearing none. We have already had a public hearing about this project. I am willing to have limited commentary from individuals in the audience if they'd like to approach the commission. And as you do so, sir, I need your name and your address, please.
Sheldonberg, 333 Washington Avenue, Minneapolis. And thank you for your time. Thank you for consideration this evening, Chair and members of the commission. A couple of things, I guess I'd highlight. The last thing was the traffic question that the planner was reviewing. I think that her response is correct, that the question is really the left turn movements into the development were the concerns, and those are the stipulations that we heard from Hennepin County on the traffic movement, and that was their concerns. We accommodated that into the project, and it's obviously reflected in the plans that we have now. I think you heard at the beginning, don't have the graphics, but we did make adjustments for the height, bringing that down, and I think the graphics that were requested, I think, adequately show, that the building is, at a minimum, it's over 100 feet back from the road, and even on because of the angled road that's in front of it, it's up to 140 or 150 feet on the other end. And so it does set back quite a ways, and then there is landscaping and parking and things in front of it, so that I think the overall appearance of it, it's not like you're downtown and there's a 40-foot building that's right next to the sidewalk. You're, half a block away or more in this context. The other items, I think I can say that as far as any of the outstanding items that are remaining that either are new comments to us or are ones that we're still working on, we're in process of those. We have agreement with continue making that progress and the changes to accommodate any of the technical questions that we have. The question about the overflow for the stormwater coming from the north, that's on the Minnetrista side, and it's being accommodated by the new 4 basins that we have on that side. What's been called the swale on the east side of the building that's within Mound, that's to help accommodate and add a little assurance for our single-family neighbor in terms of any of the water that may come off of the roofs or the kind of the townhouse area to help mitigate any potential flowage that's to the north of their property. That was something that we're adding in to help assuage any of those questions that they might have. And it obviously does add a little more retention potential for the Mound side of the project as well. I think those are the highlights. And as far as the open space question, we can verify that and get that information over to you, so it's calculated both ways. But since we're over 10% for the whole entirety of the property, taking their parcel out probably won't greatly affect the overall percentage being clear of the 50% requirement, so. I think that's all for now, unless there's any questions that.
All right, questions for this gentleman?
Sure.
I don't have a question, I just wanted to, I was really concerned about the height,
Oh,
and I really appreciate, you really addressed our concerns, and also the fact that you gave us this visual.
right.
So we can
Right.
really see the perspective from 110.
Yep,
And I
Great.
think that that helps a lot, camouflage
sure.
the height with the landscaping, so I think it looks like a really nice
Oh,
project.
Great, thank you.
Okay, other questions or comments for this gentleman? Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, further discussion amongst the commission.
So we're just approving the conditional use permit. We're beyond that?
All for it.
Thank you.
Did you want me to come up and answer any questions about that?
No, not me. I thought it was just CUP, okay.
What page is that on that we're
Yeah.
approving?
They start on page 20,
Okay,
the recommendations,
Yes.
with the first being the plat, and then followed by the conditional use permit,
That's what I thought.
and then the comp plan amendment, and the rezoning. And there's conditions and also recommended findings of fact for each of the 4 applications.
Okay, further discussion.
I guess I got a question then for, if we're gonna make a condition that Lot 3 not be included as part of the open spaces calculation, would that be part of the plot, the conditional use, the PUD?
Good, Michael. Michael, good.
So a condition like that would be part of the conditional use permit, because that's what will continue into the future. So the plat, once the lots are created, we don't usually spend a lot of time on the preliminary plat resolution. So the conditional use permit is the way that we would encompass that topic. Did that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
I said I would say the recommendations.
And then, as part of the CUP, one of the conditions that you had was the sand beach improvements and retaining walls be removed. Is that due to Minnehaha Creek watershed
No,
requirements?
it's the shoreline regulations that we have in our code, and is actually from the state as well, talk about how the shoreland area, the first 25 feet behind the ordinary high water level, should be, 70% of it should be retained in its existing or natural state. So from our perspective, creating a beach and creating a retaining wall doesn't meet those requirements. Unless there's some reason that they need to be there. But those only showed up in the newest set of plans that we had received a few days before the packet was prepared.
Further questions or discussion? Okay, hearing none, I'd like to refer you to page 20 of your agenda, and I'm going to read you 2 paragraphs. Recommendation, the Planning Commission is requested to discuss the land use and subdivision requests and recommend approval, recommend denial, or table the requests so that the applicant and staff can provide additional information. Staff recommendation is for approval of the requests to include conditions and findings of fact, and I think Sarah went through those with you. At a minimum, staff recommends the following preliminary list of conditions and findings of fact be considered, as I said, with the Planning Commission's recommendations. Please note that the conditions and findings proposed are preliminary and subject to change as review and discussion of the development project continues. Any questions about those two paragraphs? Hearing none then, the chair would entertain a motion regarding planning case number 25-12.
Go ahead, Jason.
And I remind you that this is either approval, denial, or table.
And we're doing these separately, right?
I think
I think we can do them all at once, I think.
I mean,
This
because
is
the project
preliminary,
doesn't
so.
really survive
Yeah,
We can change
if we
this.
take them apart.
you could,
Unless
but
there's, you should stand up, is your recording this? Is there a reason, Mr. Baker, you felt?
No, I just,
Yeah, I think because they are interrelated with each other, if you would approve one but not the other, the project still can't operate.
So included in the recommendation should be the conditions and findings of fact en toto,
Yes,
correct?
yes, unless there's a reason someone feels strongly not to, I would just do it in one.
A lot here.
um, did we say? Is the rezoning findings of fact part of the comp plan amendment? Is that what that is?
So we have
Issue first.
potential conditions, conditional use permit, potential findings of comprehensive plan amendment.
At the top of page 23, there are findings, correct?
The top of
bottom
page,
of page 22
yep,
and top of 23.
Yeah.
but there's findings of facts for the comp plan amendment and rezoning and subdivision.
Right.
Preliminary plot, but there's no rezoning conditions, right?
There are not, because a rezoning can't have conditions. You can't conditionally approve a
Got it. That's what I was
rezoning.
making sure there's not.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. If that was the nature of your question, there are
Yeah.
not conditions.
Okay. All right, well, I guess I'll make a motion to approve the comprehensive plan amendment, major subdivision preliminary plat, conditional use permit for the planned unit development in the Shoreline Overlay District to allow for multiple family dwelling unit structure and townhouse in the R3 zoning district, including the conditions found on page 20 through 22, plus the condition of excluding Lot 3 for open space calculations, and the findings of fact on page 22 and 23.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Discussion.
Is that right?
Yeah,
Okay.
yep, you're fine. She was asking a different
Okay.
question, but related, but not to you.
Further discussion.
I got nothing on this.
Okay, hearing none. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
It's a nice looking-
And you know that you'll be in contact with Sarah about
City,
additional issues plus city council.
The city council hearings.
Hearing.
Yeah, we have to coordinate all that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. We're sorry
luck.
about the-
Thank you.
we're Sorry
Good
about
luck.
the technology tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If you haven't done so, please sign in.
We did.
Great, thank you very much.
Bye-bye, thank you.
Okay, moving on. Old/new business.
Old/new.
We have discussion and action on the 2026 Planning Commission work rules. They were in your packet, and they included in red suggestions from staff.
Yep. Some of it's kind of housekeeping. There's really not a lot of meat to it, short of, we did amend out the new process for interviewing. So that's now in the purview of the council, following the adoption of the resolution and the ordinance. And then taking out as exhibits the former resolutions. So it's been skinnied up a bit. And so this, I think, reflects current stuff right now. I don't know if there's other things you want us to be working on in those work rules. I also should note that, and I don't know that I saw it in here, but I know it's in the ordinance, that our number now is officially 7. So as was talked about at the joint meeting with the council, that due to resignation of a member, an appointment of a new member, the thought was to bring the number down from 9 to 7, and that includes our city council representatives. So we now are a group of 7 instead of 9. And that ordinance was adopted by the council and it was published. So we are now a family of 7 planning commission members and your staff and our guests. But
All right.
I'm not sure if there's anything else that jumped out at folks.
I just noticed one nit in 4B on page 26 of the agenda. It just says by email and telephone to notify of absence. Perhaps one would suffice.
Yeah, or, I guess, maybe it's or, long as I hear, I mean, most everybody does email. I'm fine with, if you want to do it by email, I'm also fine by phone. So maybe it's not and,
Could
maybe
be
it's
by phone or email.
or, let's do or. And most of you are really good about doing that and letting us know well in advance of absences, which is also very much appreciated.
Any other comments or thoughts? Well, we have that one suggested change.
So should I make a motion to approve the planning commission work rules as submitted by staff with the update of B, work rule 1B, by email or phone.
Perfect.
Second.
Thank you.
By motion to second, we have discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion, those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Okay, we have 2026 regular meeting cancellation and scheduling
Yep.
of special and rescheduled meetings. You find that on page
24.
24.
So your February 3rd date is caucus. So the recommended rescheduled meeting date is the 17th of February, which also would be anticipated our annual work session with the council. As of now, I don't think we have any applications. So I think, at least where we're at right now, I think we could utilize the regular meeting for the joint concurrent workshop. If something comes in, we try and fit it in or figure that out, but as of today, and today's the 6th, we don't have any applications filed or pending. So that does hopefully give us that time for the meeting on the 17th. That meeting date also, assuming that you guys are good with that, would also be put into the plan, or into the city council's meeting session at their meeting next week on Tuesday. The second one is an annual thing. Our Night to Unite in August is always on the first Tuesday. We always move that to the third Tuesday so that folks can partake in their Night to Unite community neighborhood activities. And item C, this happens from time to time as well. Election is the first Tuesday following the first Monday. And so our November 3rd meeting is requested to be canceled and a replacement be scheduled for the third Tuesday in November, which would be the 17th. So those are the 3 dates that we would recommend the Planning Commission change for 2026 as part of our calendar that we know of as of right now. There have to have changes.
Okay, discussion about this.
The Tuesday, February 17th, did we already have that on the calendar for the joint meeting?
That has been, the last couple of years, that has been the preferred date.
Okay.
I don't know if it's on the councils yet, but at least for the past couple of years, we've met in concurrent session at our second meeting date. That's
Okay,
because otherwise it scooches into March and we like the February. So in the event something changes, we'll let you know, but that is the preferred date, and I proposed that to the city manager earlier in the week. So it should show up in your agenda or report in the upcoming days.
So I will make a motion to approve the regular meeting date cancellations and scheduling as distributed in the agenda.
Perfect.
Second.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second, discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. City Council update.
I do not have an update. It feels like eons since our last meeting, because it has been. Congratulations to Crimson for going through the interview process, and you did a great job.
Oh, thanks.
Saving your job. We're all impressed.
Thanks
And you
for the
were up against some
coaching,
great candidates.
and I hope the check.
Check doesn't bounce.
How many
We didn't
candidates were there?
defeat that. 4.
Oh, wow.
And they were all excellent candidates.
Really?
So,
And she got sworn in today by the city clerk.
Yep.
great, okay. Anyway, congratulations. And then I think you'll probably bring it up too, but the Polar Plunge, if you
Plunge.
haven't signed up to jump or to participate or add financially to a team, you have a couple weeks left. It's Saturday, January 31st at noon.
Yep.
And hopefully, the last couple of years, we've really amped up I think every year we've given the most, so hopefully this year will go up too. It's a lot of fun. We've had good weather the last 2 years. Keep our fingers crossed. Are you gonna be jumping this year?
I don't know if I can find somebody to jump with me.
You haven't been committed yet, huh?
Yeah,
Maybe Sarah Lenz.
well, Sarah Lenz has done it before.
Are you?
Yeah, Sarah Lenz has
Great.
done it before.
We started talking about it.
Yeah, we're thinking about it.
Team Sarah's.
Or you can
Sarah.
take it
Yeah,
from Betsy.
yep.
Maybe Rita.
I enjoyed it.
Maybe Rita and her colleague.
I think I was like, but I had
I've
a
done it.
great time.
And your
We're thinking about
costumes
it.
were
Yeah, we
been
did have
awesome.
fun.
And
Yeah.
that's all I've got.
Okay.
Happy
Yeah.
New Year, everybody.
Same to you, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Sarah, any comments from you?
Nothing really, it's just busy, end of year. We've been working, a lot of us on this project and turning things around, and lots of engaging with other agencies and keeping our folks informed, agencies, consultants, keeping things moving, timelines. With a couple building permits that are getting ready to issue, the Warner variance for the reconstruction of the house in the bluff, is being released in the next couple days. We have a couple as-bills we're working on. a remodel project with some minor expansion we're working on, but lots of inquiries the last couple of days, so it has not slowed down. But Halstead's been keeping a lot of us busy, North Point. So, but, and I hope everybody had a great holiday season.
Good.
Just want to mention that Minnehaha Creek Watershed District has a planning meeting coming up later, I think it's later this month. I was invited to attend on behalf of the commission, and it's not a long deal. It's an hour and a half in the morning or an hour and a half in the afternoon. So I do plan on attending. I just want to let you know that. And if there's anybody that is very interested in coming, I suggest you call the Watershed District and register.
Yeah, and let us know as well, because we can't have a quorum there. So if anybody else has interest in attending, we have to notify it that way, so it's not a notice of possible quorum. And our team met with the Watershed.
I was just gonna say it is January 27th for anybody considering going, both morning and evening sessions.
27th.
Yeah.
Yep. So let us know. We met with the Watershed, was it in the summer? Were you with that? Their team and our team met just kind of as companion agencies and sister brother agencies, talk about what's working, what we can do better, and also getting into programming with comp planning and that sort of thing. And so, which is really nice to maintain those relationships, because it really helps for us as staff persons as well. And we had our team and they had their team, and it was really nice. And they walked through, some of the things that they're working on and a lot of their projects that they've really done a great job of implementing, and also the upcoming stuff with their water plan. We talked a little bit about that, about how their surface water plan has to coincide and be in concert with our comp plan process as well. So we talked a little bit about that. So, and if you'd send that to me, I will circle back with some other team members in terms of who's going from our team as well.
Okay.
Yeah, and we're gonna be gearing up for comp plan stuff soon, so. Yay.
Okay.
That's all I have. Thank
Any
you.
further items from anyone on the commission? Hearing none, Chair would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion second, discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, everyone.
Did you want the pen?